Well, John Eustace, he's inheriting a better set of players at Blackburn than the players that were there when he first came to Birmingham City. So there might be the players there to play an adaptable style there. So he might start to play a little bit more progressive. But if he goes to the way that he had for us, it's going to be one where Blackburn Rovers supporters will have to get used to have the opposition having lots of other possession. So welcome back to Small Heath Alliance FC, and John Eustace has got himself a new job. He's now the manager of Blackburn Rovers. He's our ex-manager, and a lot of Blues fans have good thoughts about John Eustace and what he did with his time there. But now he's gone, and we thought we'd have a chat today about what John Eustace brought to Birmingham City. And I asked Matt the question, what do you think that John Eustace will bring to Blackburn Rovers?
So as Blues fans, I think we all have a bit of a soft spot for John Eustace, and I think the way he was sacked, the way Rooney came in, it did leave a little bit of a sour taste in Blues fans' mouth. And he was a good manager. He was I think his style's a little bit bland. He likes to play on the back foot and then catch teams on the break. But I think he is exactly what Blackburn need at this time. I think he will stop the rot. I think he'll make them compact. Because Blackburn have been leaking goals left, right and centre, and they are down in that bottom half of the table. I think they're a bit like Blues, actually. I think Blackburn will eventually push through this little phase that they're going through. I don't think they'll be in the official relegation scrap, but I think Eustace is going to steady the ship. He's going to make them compact. He's going to make them stable. He's not going to give them exciting football, I don't think. They have got a decent team. They've got sort of McFadden at the back. They've got Sam Gallagher up front. He's got a lot of talent to work with. But I think Blackburn, the way they set up, are screaming for that John Eustace sort of compact setup. And I think that's exactly what he's going to give them.
Yeah, what surprised me, though, was how long it took to get him a job. There's a lot of particularly championship clubs, vacancies that came up since he was sacked by Blues. You could go name half a dozen teams that I'm sure he would have been on their wish list, but he never took any of the jobs, and that surprised me a little bit. But I think you're right. I think Blackburn's a good fit for him. At Blues, he was a manager that always connected the fans 100%. To the players and to the club, and I think I've already seen him doing that. And interestingly, in his first game, he was obviously supposed to be in the stands when Blackburn played Stoke, and I saw a post-match interview where he had actually came down when the team were under pressure in the second half, just to give his opinions and to help out. And he's already, you see, when the players came off, he was shaking their hands and giving them hugs. Yeah. That's all John Eustace. It's all about the connection with John Eustace.
I think he wears the badge on the sleeve. And I actually have a colleague who is teaching and does journalism in Japan, and he knows Miyoshi. In terms of he speaks to him, and he mentioned how John Eustace has such a connection with the players and has a connection with the fans. And we felt it in the room, didn't we? Don't get me wrong, when Eustace was sacked, we were all gutted, but we got behind Rooney. We accepted it. We moved on. But as I say, there was that element of it was possibly a little bit too soon. But we all got behind the new manager. However, Eustace, it can't be denied what he did do for the fan base. He connected the fans back with the club, because Birmingham City, there's no doubt we've been mismanaged for the past 10, 15 years, and it's been difficult, going down St.Andrews sometimes. Let's just call it what it is as Blues fans. Yeah. But John Eustace, for me as a fan, he made it a pleasure to go back down to St.Andrews again. And, it sounds cheesy, but running down the byline like Barry Fry, clapping the badge at the end of the game. Me and you have been to Carrow Road and Bristol City away this year. We won at Bristol City. And how nice was it when he came up to the supporters and was tapping the badge and, pumping his fist. And it's these small little things. And I'm not comparing managers, we didn't quite get that with Rooney, that connection with the fan base there. This isn't a Rooney versus Eustace debate. It's just highlighting that Eustace will definitely bring that connection back with the Blackburn fan base.
Yeah, I think he will. And if you look at the stats, while John Eustace was manager of Birmingham City, he had in 63 games in charge, 24 wins, 15 draws and 24 losses. That's a win percentage of 38%. And for Birmingham City, that was good enough. But having said that, then we also have to talk about the fact that there were some frustrations as well in his style of play. In that, I remember particularly the start of the season that John Eustace liked, say, keep let the other team have possession and then catch them on the break. And we were having some games, we were having like 30% possession, but we were still winning games. And I think that was a bit of a frustration for us, and we felt that that would only take us so far. Totally agree with what you said, Matt, about the way that John Eustace was sacked. I think that was really bad. It took us all by surprise. And I really, I don't know, as a fan of Birmingham City, I wasn't very proud of my club with the way they did it. But football is a game of business, and the harsh reality is that the owners now, Birmingham City, didn't feel that John Eustace was the man to take us a step further. But John Eustace himself at Birmingham City did very, very well in terms of winning games, keeping us up. And he had us in sixth place. I think you agree that was very much a false position.
Yeah.
In fact, when you look at the league table, when John Eustace was sacked, we were sixth, just come off the back of 2 wins, one beating West Bromwich Albion 3-1 and one beating Huddersfield 4-1 at home. But then that took us into sixth. But then there's a 3-point gap between sixth and something like 15th. So it only takes in the championship takes a few defeats to take you down the table. So we're in a false position. But my thoughts of John Eustace as Blues manager can only be positive for what he did for us.
Absolutely, because you've got to remember the context. He had no money. He still had the previous owners when he first came into the job. Up against FFP, he was relying very much on the loan players that he got in. So that, to me, automatically highlights a manager who's good at managing players and relationships. And I think that's what he's going to get at Blackburn. You're going to get a solid manager who knows how to manage players, build their confidence, work with the players that he has. And Blackburn are in a similar-ish position to Blues. They haven't got much money to spend. They're going to have restraints in the transfer market. So Eustace is really going to have to wave that magic wand in the training camp and get his tactics right, get the players pumped up. And I think he'll do a pretty good job of doing that. I think moving forward, let's just call it what it is. This game on Tuesday, Blackburn, John Eustace, it's a huge game for both teams. I'm going to be really intrigued to see, one, what kind of reception he gets from the crowd. I kind of hope the Blues fans don't give him a decent reception until after the game. I hope we turn up, we do a job, and then give him a clap or a cheer at the end. But there's no doubt about it. When we turn up on Tuesday night, it's a big game. We need 3 points, and I don't care who's the manager, John Eustace or not. We need to get that 3 points there.
What's interesting, John Eustace used to be our manager, and Tony Mowbray used to be the manager of Blackburn. So I hope they're going to the right dugout when they get there. But just to clarify what you've said, really, I agree with the positive attributes of John Eustace, and this is what Blackburn Rovers fans are going to get. He's a good manager. He looks after the players. He motivates them. Makes them want to play for him, and even mediocre players you can get that extra 10% out of by doing that as well. He's got experience in the championship, so he knows all about the championship and he knows how it all works. And also as well, he's not frightened of using youth players as well, so he'll bring the younger players through as well. So lots of positive attributes there for John Eustace, which I think will benefit very much the Blackburn Rovers team.
I think I've sung his praises in this video, and rightly so. I think he's a good manager, but I'm going to pick out 2 negatives. One is the back foot style of football. Blackburn fans, you are not going to be massively excited with that style of football if he sticks to it. And 2, his press conferences are always really disappointing and underwhelming. There's a fine line between Rooney, who pretty much threw his players under the bus a lot of the time, and then Eustace, who would defend them at any cost at any moment. And he uses lines like, this team's going to be pushing for the playoffs, or he gives teams too much respect and credit, and sometimes, in my opinion, and I think that needs to be worked on. And I think some Blues fans could completely see through it. It was like, no, come on, you need to call people out in that moment. And I'm sure he does it behind closed doors on the training ground. There's a very fine balance between a manager managing his players well in the dressing room and then also in the public eye as well. So you do have to be careful. But I think sometimes he could be more brutal in those press conferences, and I think the style of football sometimes Blackburn fans, it could be a little bit underwhelming as the season moves on.
I think the style of football could be adapted though, because I think if you look at the Blackburn team,
Sam Gallagher up front as well.
Well, John Eustace, he's inheriting a better set of players at Blackburn than some players that were there when he first came to Birmingham City. So there might be the players there to play an adaptable style there. So he might start to play a little bit more progressive. But if he goes to the way that he had for us, it's going to be one where Blackburn Rovers supporters will have to get used to have the opposition having lots of other possession.
Just as a precaution for the Tuesday game, I actually saw the Blackburn versus Stoke game at the weekend, and I was really worried because Blackburn were playing a style of football where it was get it wide and get it in the box. And we seem to be leaking goals at the minute, left, right, centre, with crosses coming into the box. So I think Tuesday is going to be an interesting game. It's going to be massive. And for me, John Eustace, good manager. I think he's the right manager for Blackburn. I think they've actually made a very good choice there. But there are a few little things which could be worked on moving forward. One, for me, that compact style of football, he could push it out and be a little bit more adventurous, which I think he will with Blackburn, has a slightly better quality of players. And for me, that whole kind of press conferencing, which is a small thing really. I just like him sometimes to be a little bit more brutal in those press conferences.
Okay, so what do you think, Birmingham City supporters? What's your opinions of John Eustace? I'm probably guessing that most of you are going to have good thoughts about John Eustace, and you'll probably also have or maybe agree with some of the maybe negative things that me and Matt have discussed during the podcast. Blackburn Rovers fans, if there's any Blackburn Rovers fans watching this video, as you can see, you are going to get a really good manager there, and I think you are in safe hands with John Eustace. So from your perspective, it's really, really positive. So let us know your comments below, whether you're a Birmingham City supporter or even a Blackburn Rovers supporter, in the comments below the video. And if you like the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can get future content in relation to Birmingham City.